morning and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Angela Soudi and I am so excited today to introduce Theresa Du Toit. Did I pronounce that right?
Du Toit.
Du Toit, Du Toit. Such a beautiful name.
The French would say Du Toit.
Oh, Du Toit, Du Toit, okay. So Theresa is, you are such an inspiring lady. We met, I think, 7-8 years ago in the corporate world, in the lobby of a very well-known hotel, which you were sales and marketing manager at the time. And, I've sort of followed you through your journey to where you are now. And there's been a lot of adversity, in this journey that I find so inspiring. And it just doesn't matter what life throws at you. You always have a smile on your face. You always look for the positive. And I find that so inspiring. So I would love for you just to share a little bit about your story. Where you started, what made you decide to branch into the world of entrepreneurship, and where you are today.
Angie, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me this morning. I am so happy to be here with you and sit across the table with you and just to be able to talk and share. Yes, I've always loved life. I've always had this motto in my life that you should celebrate life despite what happens in life. And what happened to me was that I was gloriously happily married 30 years with my sweetheart from university. We had 3 kids, and he died of tongue cancer, which was very devastating. I never knew you could have that happen to you. And I took a year out after he passed away just to go through the whole grieving and mourning process, because I believe you've got to work through emotions. You can't just sail through something or keep yourself busy and hope you forget about the negative emotions, because it comes back and it hits you somewhere along the line. And so I took a year out, just mourning, grieving, working through everything. And a year later, I really felt like this was it. I felt my heart was completely healed and I carried on with life. And then I decided at one point that I wanted to move out of South Africa, and I decided to move to Dubai because at the time my daughter was crew with Emirates. Mm-hmm. She was here, but I also liked the fact that Dubai was crime-free and tax-free at the time.
That's a big pull.
And for South Africans, those are 2 very important things. Yeah. So I moved across here. I literally got sold everything that I had, put the rest in the storage in Knysna, and came across and started a whole new adventure here. I started off in real estate, which was so different to what it was in South Africa, and always loved hospitality. Mm-hmm. Then got into hospitality and loved that. And then I met a beautiful guy. We were so in love. And you know the story about how we met. But I met this guy and we got married, and we thought, okay, fantastic. 20 years we're hoping to have together. And it was really amazing because he'd been divorced twice, and he said to me, one of the things he said right at the beginning was, one thing is for sure, I never ever want to get married again. And I said, I want to meet somebody I want to marry because I love marriage and I love to love somebody. And he said, good for you, but it's not for me. And I said, that's cool, I understand where you're coming from. But anyway, he fell in love.
And I remember, sorry to interrupt, but I remember because during that time, we would have these conversations where you would say, I've met what I consider to be my soulmate, and I want to go to the next level, but he's just, I don't want to go there. And we would debate, okay, should we carry on with this relationship or should we step back? So,
yeah, and then a couple of weeks later, he professed his love to me, and we got married. You were at the wedding, and so was Lise.
Yes.
And every day he would say to me, I never knew that marriage could be so fantastic. And it was a wonderful time we had together, but it was also very short-lived, unfortunately. He went quad biking one morning with a dear friend, and I kissed him goodbye, helped him load the trailer to the car, and as he drove up the ramp in our building, I saw his profile, and I thought, there goes my sexy husband, not knowing that he would never come back alive again. I would never see him alive again. And then I got a phone call to say that something had happened in the desert, and he had passed away. And my heart shattered into a million pieces right there and then. And it was really such a trauma for me because we were so incredibly happy. And it was really, I felt like, if you take a mirror and you throw it onto the floor and it breaks into a million pieces. That's how my heart felt. And I took a year out again as well to just mourn and grieve and go through all the process of dealing with the pain. And sometimes people would say to me, don't you think you should keep yourself busy just to forget about everything? And I would say no, because you need to work through the the trauma. You've got to work through the emotions. You've got to work through everything. And I'm not a believer in taking any pills or any chemical things to ease
numb
your
the
emotions.
pain.
No, you have to deal with the pain so that you can come out whole on the other side. And then you're free from all those things. And you've set yourself on a good field, because if you keep cropping up these emotions and storing them and harboring them, it comes out as serious diseases later on.
Agree.
So I took time out for a year, and in that year, the year thereafter, I started feeling I've got stuff on the inside. It's like I think I told you in one time, I felt like a pregnant woman. I was pregnant with something, and I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know what platform I would have to share whatever it is, but I knew there was something here. And then out of the blue, a friend of my daughter, who's a wedding photographer at the time in Dubai, she called me and she said, listen, I have a business proposition. I thought, what could that be? And she said, I know you love marriage and you love love and you love public speaking. I think you would make a fantastic wedding celebrant. So my first words were, what's
a celebrant? Which is what I asked you. I'd never heard of that before.
Me neither. So she proceeded to tell me, and she said, please promise me you'll consider this. So I said, okay, let me go Google it, which I did. Everybody Googles everything. So I Googled it and I discovered, but there's a big world out there that knows about wedding celebrants. And the more I read, the more I realized this is perfect for me, because I love marriage and I love love. And so the more I read, the more it just resonated with my heart, and I knew this was it. And then I looked at wedding celebrants at their websites and everything, and I found there were so many of them saying things like, I can create a bespoke ceremony for you, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, if I was to get married and I'm looking for a celebrant, I want somebody who's got passion and excitement and enthusiasm. It's got to hop off the pages.
Absolutely.
Because that's the one that I would want to have. And so that's where my beautiful friend Angie, you guys came along, and then you designed my website.
Yeah.
And I was so excited about this. And I wrote all the content.
You did.
Because I wanted it to reflect me. I wanted people, when they go onto my site, that they must feel, I know this woman. We feel her passion, we feel her enthusiasm. And it was on the 25th of September, 2017.
Wow.
That my website went live.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing that you remember
So
the
it's
date. Wow.
coming up for a birthday not long from now. Wow. And I remember my very first ceremony that I did was at the farm. And I couldn't contain my excitement. I was waiting and waiting for the bride to arrive. I couldn't wait to start, and it was just so wonderful. It just flowed. And I know this is my calling, because I love love and I love marriage. And because I've had two fantastic marriages, what I want to impart to my couples is that I want to equip them to be able to build beautiful marriages, so that they're even more in love 20, 30, 40 years down the line. So that when they look at each other, he thinks, oh, my sexy, gorgeous wife. And she looks at him and she says, oh, my handsome hunk.
Uh-huh.
They must be more in love than they were on their wedding day.
Which is very rare.
It is very rare.
We get bogged down with life and kids and business and, this passion. I remember we had a conversation about this years ago, and I have to thank you for this, because you've helped me with my parenting.
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying to me, one of the things that I do when people get married, they're so caught up in the drug of their passion and the love for each other. But as time goes by, maybe you realize that actually when you face adversity, you didn't have the tools to help you to get through those problems. And I know that you give every couple that you marry, you give them the book, The Love Languages.
Yes, I do.
And again, I'd like to talk about that, because I read that book. And when I read the book, one, it helped me to understand my own relationship with my husband. But secondly, there's also love languages for kids,
That's
for children.
Correct. Yeah.
So I got a copy of this on your recommendation, and I read, and it just turned my entire parenting around, because I realized that I was loving my kids in the way that makes me feel loved.
Exactly.
But they didn't feel
Exactly.
that. So how has that helped, like, couples that you've married now moving, forward 2, 3, 4 years? Are they following this methodology? Do they embrace this, this science?
I have to tell you is that all the couples that I've given the book to on their wedding day, the feedback that I get is really fantastic, because most of them say that it's opened up a whole new world to them. Most of them are not aware of the love languages, you know.
Who is, really? We don't learn that in school.
Exactly. And the thing is, that is key, because if you don't understand your spouse's love language, you will love him or her the way that you want to feel loved. And then so you have all of these conflicts that arise, which can lead to a very damaging relationship in the end. But if you understand your spouse's love language, then it's so much easier. It removes so much of possible conflict and issues. And so it gives you great wisdom. And then both parties are glowing. You know, if you look at a couple, you can see if they're happy. Whenever I'm in a group, where there's couples, I like to watch them, because I watch their
psychoanalyze.
Yeah, I look at the interaction that they have. I mean, do they sit together? Do they lean into each other? You know, does he touch her? Does she touch him? Do their eyes, you know, connect? Or does he sit there on one chair and she's over there, and it's like two strangers. You know? And then I say to myself, there's trouble in paradise.
Yes, yeah.
Because if you're into each other, it shows. You know, because you automatically lead into one another. Your whole body says, I love being with you. I love looking at you. I love sitting next to you. I love talking to you. Because this is what life is all about in the end.
It's true. So let's talk about those love languages then. Because
Yes.
there are 5.
Yes.
5 fundamental love languages.
Yeah.
And if you haven't read this book, then read it. Because I don't think it only applies to your spouse. It applies to your children, to your parents, to your best friends, even to your work colleagues. You know, how
That's
do we
so
feel
true.
appreciated as human beings? And it comes down to, do we feel loved and do we feel valued? So would you share those 5?
Yeah, with pleasure. They're 5 love languages. The first one is touch. Okay, and people tend to think that it's sex, but it's not only sex. It's about the stroking of an arm, just putting your hand on the shoulder. It's the physical touch. So and that's a very easy one, because it doesn't involve a lot, but it's important for the person whose love language that is. So it's physical touch. Then it is words of affirmation. So words of affirmation that tells the person, I love you, I think you're amazing, you're wonderful, you're beautiful. Geez, you're so smart at this. Words of affirmation. Fills up the love tank of the other person. Gifts. Not everyone's love language is gifts. And often you find the guy will say, but I buy you all these things, and it's not her love language. What is her love language? If you give her that, then she's going to know that you really, really love her. The other one is quality time, where you just spend time together with that person. That person loves just being with you. It might be you sitting on the couch, you know, leaning into each other, watching a movie, walking along the beach, just being together, giving your time. This
is my son's, my oldest son, who's 13 now.
Quality time.
And I didn't understand that until I read the book, because one of the things, I'm very tactile, so my love language is to be tactile. So I'm always hugging and kissing and very affectionate with my kids. And Kyle would say to me, he'd say, Mummy, come and sit next to me and watch me play Minecraft and give me watching power. Now, for me to sit there and watch Minecraft for 30 minutes, I'd rather pull out my own eyeballs. I mean, it's just, there's no stimulation for me on computer games. So I'd sit with him and I'd be on my phone, and he'd say, but you're not watching me. And before I understood this love language, I used to get irritated. And I'd say, but let's do something together. And he's, no, but I want you just to give me watching. Watching power was his phrase. And if he listens to this, he'll smile. Because now we laugh about it. He said, do you remember when we used to say watching power? So, and I understood when I read that book that it was about time. I can hug him and kiss him all day, but if I don't sit with him and watch what he's doing, then we miscommunicate. He doesn't feel loved.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the 5th one is action, or deeds of action, doing something for somebody. And when I was married to Philip, my first husband, it took me donkey's years to find out, to realize what his love language was. His one was action, you know, doing something.
Interesting.
And I couldn't understand. So I would go to town, for instance, and say, can you pick up something for me? And of course I would say, of course I will, my darling. And then I'd get sidetracked and I'd forget. And I'd get home and he'd say, did you do that? And I'd say, oh, sure, but I forgot. And he would get very upset. And I thought,
He's overreacting. What's
Why
wrong
is
with
this?
him?
Until I realized it's his love language.
Interesting.
And so that changed everything. So it made me realize that I have to remember those things.
So on a subconscious point of view, he's thinking she doesn't care.
Yes.
She doesn't think about
Yeah.
me. She's not interested.
Yeah. And I love this man. I mean, I absolutely adored him. But it was such a revelation to discover the 5 love languages. And it makes a vast difference in any relationship. And as you say, with kids as well. And I think every parent should actually read buy the book for the kids. And as you also said so rightly, Angie, even in a work situation, understanding what are your colleagues' love language. Because then, if everybody knows, or if you know the person that you're dealing with often, it makes everything so much easier. You know, and then I think the chance of irritations and irritabilities and, you know, negative influences and negative emotions, I think that will be phased out.
I agree, and we do a lot of personality profiling here in the office. You know, we look at the different personality traits, the reds, the greens, the blues, you know, to try to communicate better with the team. So if I speak to you in this way, it has this effect. Either it resonates with you and you do it with, you know, with happiness, or it upsets you and you take offense. And I think, you know, but that's very sort of by the book. If you combine the two together, because really all people want to feel is appreciated. They want to feel heard. They want to feel appreciated, and they want that recognition that yes, you are good enough.
Yeah.
And most of that, unfortunately, comes through our primitive years as children. So what lessons were we taught by our parents?
Exactly.
Were they engaged? Were they not engaged? You know, and I think that really subconsciously we're so governed by how we were raised by either our caregivers or our parents or our teachers.
That's very true, Angie. They say that they've proved it scientifically. From the last trimester of pregnancy up until the first 7 years of a child's life, is that the brainwaves of a child is in theta brainwave state, which means it's the subconscious mind that's acting like a sponge. So everything the child hears gets absorbed, like you would put a sponge in this glass of water, everything gets absorbed. So what they hear, what they experience, what they see, that gets laid down in their subconscious mind. That becomes the foundation for the way they look at life, the way they look at themselves. And that is very crucial. I now have a little granddaughter. She'll be a year next month.
And she's beautiful.
Oh, she's gorgeous, and I'm going to go down and be there for her birthday. But looking at her, I see perfection. I see joy, happiness,
innocence.
She feels safe and secure, content, all the beautiful things. And I look at her and I realize that is how we are supposed to be throughout our lives. Yes. But the way we were brought up, I was brought up in a very dysfunctional home. Okay. Never heard the words from any of my parents that I love you. None of us. We were 6 siblings, 6 daughters. And when I talk about these things, I don't have any anger or resentment or anything. I realized that my parents came from a generation where nobody spoke about their emotions. So they would bottle things up and then they would, release it onto the kids. So I grew up never feeling worthy, never feeling loved, never being told that you're amazing, wonderful, beautiful, you can do anything, none of that stuff. So what happened was that I went to university in my first year. And do you know that my self-image was so low that at times I wouldn't go to class. I would stay in my room because I would think, if I step out onto the campus today, people are going to say, hey, what's that dumb blonde doing here? Because I had long blonde hair. And it was like I was captured by that, and I didn't know how to get over it. But 2 things happened. I became a drum majorette in my first year. It can only be 35 in a squad. I was one of the 35, which immediately helped me.
Your confidence.
Yeah, it boosted my confidence. And then the following year, I became one of the leaders, walking in the front, with a baton and everything. And I then did a modeling course. So all of that boosted my confidence. But it's been an incredible journey all along my life, because I can look back at my childhood and I have no regrets. I can look at the things that I went through, and I can honor that, because I know my parents did the best they could and what they knew.
With the tools they had.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so I can look back, and in fact, on my birthday morning, I was sitting reflecting on my life, and I was so grateful. My heart was absolutely flooded with so much gratitude for everything that I have gone through in my life. That included all the traumas, all the bad things, the heartaches and the everything, because out of every situation, there was beautiful stuff that I could take, and which I turned into wisdom, because as I applied the lessons, it became wisdom. It's no longer knowledge, but it's wisdom. Because as you apply what you've learned, that turns into wisdom. And so I've been on an amazing journey. The last 5 years have been phenomenal.
But this is what I love about you. This is why I love, your mindset, because it's all too easy to say, poor me, I'm the victim, it's bad, things don't go my way, it's too difficult, it's too hard. And no matter what you've gone through, and I mean, we're just covering a short amount really of, what you've had to face, but you never have that victim mentality. And I remember many times, because we started our own business here, it was tough in the beginning, and I'd look in my diary and I'd say, oh, I have a meeting with Theresa this afternoon. And I knew that after that meeting with you, I'd be lifted.
Really?
And it's natural, you do it without consciously being aware of it. And I think that's really one of your gifts. And you talk about your childhood, not having love as a child. You lost two, great, amazing men during your marriages. Yeah. And yet you still want to impart this love and this passion on other people. And that, I think that's your quality. And actually in your bio, it says celebrator of life.
Yeah.
And that just sums everything about who you are. And I think that's just so beautiful.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you, Angie. Thank you. I do believe that no matter what we go through, we are supposed to be the captains of our own ship. We can either choose to be a victim, as you say, and look, at times things can be very tough, because everything isn't always plain sailing. But I've also realized and learned over the past couple of years the importance of having the right mindset. Yeah. Because it's different than just speaking positive things. You have to understand, what is your subconscious mind? What are the belief systems that you carry around with you? Because those are the things that determine your life. So if you have negative or self-sabotaging belief systems in your subconscious mind, you can have this wall covered with wonderful positive sayings, and you can say them 100 times a day. Nothing is going to change, because the
foundation is
that is going to rule, because that is what drives you. Yes. And so once you understand and recognize your self-sabotaging belief systems, you can change them. And that is an amazing process, because then you realize there's a tremendous amount of power within us, and you realize the importance of having the right mindset, because you can control your thoughts. And as you control your thoughts, you're changing the biology of your mind. And you know what I've learned, and I love this, I have learned to fall in love with the unknown.
Yes.
I love the quantum field. I love Dr. Joe Dispenza's teachings about the quantum field. And every day and every evening I go and stand on my balcony, and I have this limitless view. And the word limitless was dropped into my spirit about 4 years ago. So when I open the front door of my apartment, I look right all the way through, and I see the whole of the Dubai skyline. And every time the word limitless comes into my mind. Mm-hmm. So I realized that we were created limitless. God has created us limitless. He's put greatness and genius in every single person. Mm-hmm. We all have greatness and genius within us. It's either been dumbed down because of what we've gone through, or our childhood, or society, whatever the case is. But if you can understand, listen, there's this amazingness within me, and you can tap into that. Man, it opens up a whole new world. And so when you have the days where you think, oh crap, how am I going to get through today? It's like the old patterns want to pop in again. Then you can actually stop, and you can say, okay, fine, I acknowledge I'm feeling a bit crap right now. I'm going to give it a few seconds. Okay, let's change it.
So let's talk about, because that sounds great. However, that's the sort of wrong word, but that sounds wonderful. Let's look at things that you do, because let's look at practical things. Yep. So we say we can change it, but there are people out there that are listening saying, well, how? Because my thoughts are so strong. They're so overpowering. I don't know how to change that. So what tools and what methods do you use that help you to work through those times when maybe you're not feeling so positive?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when a negative emotion, an old habit of thinking wants to pop in, because we get addicted to the old feelings, because those old feelings of anxiety and fear and all of that stuff, you know how to sort of handle that, because you go
it's familiar.
It's familiar, but unknowingly we've become addicted to that. Okay. So to change your mindset, it takes effort. And the effort is to actually, okay, fine, I've got a negative thought that's coming back. It's the old pattern that I recognize. Okay, I now know that is not the truth anymore. It was my truth previously, but this is no longer my truth. So I'm casting that aside. So what is my truth now? My truth is, I realize, and it's like a revelation within your spirit, that you do know that you are truly amazing, that there's greatness and genius within you. So what I like to do, before I go to bed at night, I tend to walk out onto my balcony. I stick my arms in the air. My heart is absolutely flooded with so much gratitude, because there's just so much to be grateful for. Mm-hmm. And and sometimes we tend to think gratitude is for all the big stuff, but it's not. It's the fact that I can step outside.
And I can breathe.
Yeah.
Right, we're during these COVID times.
Yeah,
especially,
exactly.
I can take a breath.
Yeah.
I can breathe. I'm alive.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's all these little things. So I go outside and I start meditating. So I started with gratitude, because gratitude is a very high vibration. And I really believe in energy and vibration. And love is the highest vibration. And I've also learned that love is so important. And so one of the things that I discovered is that unless you love yourself, it's actually difficult to move forward. Okay. And if you listen to people, how do they talk about themselves? Oh, I'm so silly. I'm so stupid. Oh, I make all these stupid mistakes. People are constantly putting themselves down, and they think it's okay. And it's like in a joke. But words have creative power.
And the subconscious mind doesn't know the
Absorbs all
difference
of that.
between
It doesn't.
what's real or what's a fabrication.
Exactly.
It just believes the words that are being said.
Exactly. And so what I did one morning, I was sitting down with my journal on my balcony, and I was pondering about this whole aspect of love and loving myself, because I don't think we're taught to love ourselves, you know?
I agree.
It's like you've got to love your neighbor as you love yourself, but I don't care about that, but got to love my neighbor. But unless you love yourself, you can't.
It starts with that.
It starts with that, yeah. So I sat down and I started writing. If I love myself, or when I love myself, then la 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 la. And it just kept on flowing. It was like 15 pages almost of
so
just
it was in there
stuff.
waiting to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suddenly was so overwhelmed, and I thought, but this is key. So it's to love yourself. To love yourself as you are, because you are beautiful, you are amazing, you are lovely. And to recognize the self-sabotaging belief systems, those thoughts that pop up. And believe me, they like to come in every so often and say, yeah, well, how do you think that's going to happen? You know, how do you think that's going to start? And especially when it comes to our dreams. Mm-hmm. Because I've realized, hey, listen, we can dream as big as we want to, because we can be, do, and have everything that we desire. Yes. It is all out there. I just need to connect with it by getting that elevated emotion and feeling that. And it expands out of your heart about, I think, 10 feet out of you. And when you get that elevated emotion, it raises your vibration tremendously, and you connect to what is out there. And it's like you're floating on a cloud, because no matter when something bad happens, you can control it, you can recognize it immediately.
And it's not such, when these, damaging things happen, it doesn't seem like it's such a catastrophe.
No.
When your mindset is in a way that, okay, this may be challenging right now, but there's always a way around that, rather than seeing the wall and not being able to break through.
Exactly. Because there's always a solution.
Always. And I find that also, when you're in that mindset and you tap into that, you call it universal energy or whatever the energy is, you set the intention. Yeah. And without, really understanding why, these things, it's like a magnet. Yeah. You set the intention and it comes to you. And I think that's the magic of, working with these energies and understanding the mind and how the mind operates and how the mind works. Yeah. And it's beautiful.
It is. It's really marvelous. And I truly marvel, the more I read and the more I study about the mind and the brain and how our thoughts affect our bodies, I just marvel and I think, wow, we are truly fearfully and wonderfully created. Mm-hmm. And if everyone can tap into who they really are, the world is going to be a different place, because we've all got different gifts. Mm-hmm. And if you can understand that, then this whole thing of, well, I'm jealous because that one is doing this or that one is creating that, and what about me? everyone.
That brings down your vibration,
Yeah,
because
it
it's
does,
negative
yeah,
emotions.
it does. And if you understand that there's greatness and genius within you, and that you can be, do, and have anything, and these wild dreams that you have, who placed them there? God did in the beginning, because He says, I know you can do all of this.
Yes.
And if we all flow in our gifting, we're serving humanity. We're serving the people that we are connected with. And can you imagine how that is going to change the atmosphere, the energy of wherever we move around?
Exactly. And I think, like you said, it all starts during those primitive years. So, when I was at school, nobody ever talked about the subconscious mind, or
No.
it wasn't something that, was a topic. Now, what's refreshing to hear is that they are bringing this into schools.
Yeah.
So when the two boys, because we lived in Thailand, as you know before,
Yeah.
they used to do mindfulness every morning.
Wonderful.
For 10 minutes, which was just beautiful. So mindfulness would literally be a 10-minute meditation. Now, it could be a guided meditation from the
Yeah.
teacher. It could be something that they would listen to, on YouTube or a podcast, or they would teach these children just to sit in silence.
Yeah.
And it was, the little ones, the sort of 6, 7, and 8-year-olds would sit there in the position with their eyes closed, kind of like looking at each other and spying and seeing
Yeah.
who's concentrating, who's not. But it was just about, teaching the kids to be within themselves and to listen to their own mind. Now, mindfulness, I didn't hear about mindfulness till I was in
me
my
neither.
20s.
Never heard of the word until the past couple of years, really.
Right.
You
So
know?
hopefully, as the younger generation come through, these topics are becoming more and more popular. And I think schools are identifying, especially, during the later years when they're going through their exams and there's so much stress, looking at meditation and looking at mindfulness and just dealing with those feelings and those thoughts and those emotions.
It's very important. One of the things that I think is really crucial for every person, and I like to do this daily, is to start my day with a meditation. Either I'll be listening to something, or I will just lie on my bed or sit on my couch and just start saying, speaking things that I'm so grateful for, and start focusing on all of those things, and then setting the intention of how I see my day. And right now I've got a wonderful dream that I'm pursuing, and so I get this elevated emotion for what is going to unfold for me, and the how it's going to unfold, I don't know, and that's not important.
And you don't need to know.
I don't need to know, but it's the it's like I'm already there, in my mind. Physically, I'm still here, and I'm loving that. But I mentioned something earlier about the unknown, because we've been sort of brainwashed that the unknown is like the scary place, and you can't do anything unless you know what the outcome is going to be. But to fall in love with the unknown means that the stuff that you don't know, and the stuff that you desire, and the things that you dream to have, be, do, etc., it's all out there. And so to stand outside on my balcony, put my arms in the air, and to say, it's all there, and I love the unknown. And I'm so excited to see how is it going to unfold. And that's where the magic lies in the end.
And I think exactly, and that's where, I talk to business owners, employees every day, and it's a very common sort of concern that they say, I'm not living my passion. However, I'm comfortable. And you went through this when you were marketing manager, because you go from a situation, and I went through this in corporate too. I was in corporate before, we set up our own business. So you go from this transition where you have your safety net, you have your salary, you can close the door at the end of the day, and you don't have to take the stresses home. And I think the general consensus is that, okay, I'll start my own business so I can work when I want, I can relax when I want, I'll go on vacation when I want. I've never worked as hard in my life as I did when I started my own business. Because as soon as you close the door, that's when the rest starts, the marketing, the accounts, the salaries, the everything. So how did you deal with that transition? Because there are so many people out there that really want to go from the safety net to the unknown, but they have so many fears, and they're so afraid of taking that leap from one to the other. And how have you how has your life changed from going from where you were to now living your dream and your passion?
Angie, it was a transition, because
by the way, you're the only person in the world apart from my brother that calls me Angie.
Oh, really?
Yes. You are, but you you can.
Is that while I was working for a salary, I mean, I think I've always been a rebel at heart, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Deep down, I've always felt like I don't like following the stream. I like to do my own thing. I've always had that. And so over the years, when I was still married originally, I would do I'd have small businesses along the way. So I've had an entrepreneurial spirit all along the way. And then when I was working for the corporate world, the hotel industry, I really loved it. I loved the hospitality. I felt that was like my baby. But then you get all of these, other things that start happening, and I felt that my soul was unhappy. What I have learned over the past couple of years is that you have to do what makes your soul happy. But because we've been brainwashed that you must have the security of a salary, because once you have a salary, I mean, even if you hate your job and it sucks going to work every day, but at least you've got the money. I think it's killing your soul, and people are doing this and they feel that this is the only way. So for me, I would say the following is that you've got to follow your heart. Listen to your heart, because your soul knows what you should be doing. Your soul is the inside of you, the real you, the one that's uncontaminated, the one that knows where you should be, what you should be doing. And if you start listening to your soul, then you'll realize, okay, I can start following this voice. And once you've made a decision, things fall into place. So once you make the decision, hey, I want to do my own thing. Okay, if you've saved money, that's great, that's wonderful. I didn't have any of that. So for me, there were days where it's like, I got money, other days there's no money. I got money, there's no money. I got money, there's no money. So it was tough at times, I can tell you, it really was. Plus, I had a disadvantage that I had a self-sabotaging belief system about finances.
I remember.
Yeah, and it took me donkey's years to find out what the heck was this. Why is it the rest of my life, everything, all aspects of my life are fabulous, except this one area. What is it? And it took a long time to get to it. And once I recognized it was a self-sabotaging belief system from my childhood days, it changed everything.
Those phrases, money doesn't grow on trees.
Where must I get the money from?
Money
We don't have it.
Money is the root of all evil.
Yeah,
this is feeding the subconscious, yes.
And once I realized that, it was like, what? Now I know. And so it's been an incredible journey to realize that and then to work through that. So from being panic-stricken where there's no money in my bank account to, well, if there's nothing there now, I mean, money's going to come in. Because money is all around.
And it's energy.
It is energy, yes. So the fearfulness about what happens, I don't have money, that disappeared. And that to me was a massive, massive thing. So I have learned I've fallen in love with money in the sense that I recognize what it is. I don't get anxious about it anymore, whether I have or I don't have, because I know it is all out there. And this year in particular has been really good because I've been able to cover all my expenses by myself.
Which, in this current climate, being a wedding celebrant, when
came to a dead end.
Literally, I guess overnight, your business went from flourishing because you were having calls from South Africa, from Europe. Can you fly in? Can you do this wedding for us? So literally, you've gone from having incoming calls for your beautiful services to zero.
Exactly.
No gatherings, no weddings, no public places.
Yeah.
And how did you deal with that?
Well, when it happened the first time last year, because I had loads of weddings lined up, and then the COVID thing happened, and it was the one call after the other, the one postponement, cancellation, and I thought, oh crap, there goes my income. And I said to myself, I have two decisions to make. I can do one of two things. Either I can go into panic mode and think, oh crap, what now? Or I'm going to do personal work, and use this time to grow.
Okay.
And to strengthen me as a person, and to strengthen my belief systems, and to work through this. And so I felt like an observer. Honestly, I felt like an observer, especially living on the 8th floor of my building. I would look out, and I honestly felt like an observer. I'm observing a total madness that's happening, and it's like I'm on a plane.
Incredible.
I'm on a plane, and there's a lot of things happening on the inside of me, which really just stirred me. And I was so elated to go through this because I realized this is valuable because there's an incredible life out there. I mean, when things happen, there's always something that you can take from that,
True.
and then you can build on that. And so it's been an incredible journey for me, and to be able to say, I'm not panic-stricken about money anymore. Whether there is or there isn't, it's the same because I know it's going to come in.
And that shows, I guess this has been a test of your growth. Had this situation have happened 5 years ago before you did the self-work, then but also you do, I mean, it's not just the weddings that you do, you also do corporate training, you do hospitality training. You recently did a training program for Abu Dhabi. So talk a little bit about the training that you offer.
Okay, when I was in the hotel industry, we would get trainings done and they would bring in trainers, and it was the focus of the training was always about how to generate more income and how to get more clients. That was the main thrust. It was always just about that, money and more clients.
How to profit the business.
Yes, okay. But there was never any attention given to the actual team and recognizing who they are and focusing on their abilities, their giftings, their strengths, and helping them realize how amazing they are. So I have a holistic approach, and this is what I did. So I have a 3-pronged training.
Okay.
And so the first session is completely focused on them, helping them understand how amazing they are, that everyone has got greatness and genius within them. Do you know what your strengths are? Do you know what you're really good at? I mean, if you were to write down on a piece of paper, I'm really great at this, people always say this, and this. Because suddenly it opens up a world to them, because nobody tells them that.
True.
Nobody tells them that. We had a GM at the time. As I left, there was a GM there whose door was always closed, who never came and said hello to us, who never thanked the team for anything. And you felt like
demotivated.
Totally, because what are you doing all this for, you know? And in fact, hold on here. When I left, I actually worked out how much revenue did I generate
for the
hotel over the 3 years. I was stunned. It was 24 million dirhams.
My.
That I had generated. I don't know what the rest of the team did. I'm sure they did, even more. But I thought, that is a load of money that was generated by giving myself and being me.
Because sales is about buying from people you like and trust.
Exactly.
If I like and trust you, I buy from you. It's, we complicate sales with these sales funnels and this strategy, but the reality is that if I trust and like you, I'll buy your products and services.
Exactly, buy into you. So with this training that I did, is that I focused, I showed them that they need to understand how amazing they are, because once they recognize their value, it changes everything, because then whatever it is that they do at the hotel, whatever their position is, now that they know, listen, I am truly an amazing person, it changes the way that they do their job. Also for management to realize and recognize, you've got amazing people in your team. And that goes from the guy who cleans, who shines the door handle, to the guy who sits in the big office. Because everyone wants to be loved and appreciated.
Which goes back to where we started.
Exactly, yeah. And then from there, then I moved into, what's the guest experience? Because you want to focus on the guest experience. When the guest arrives at the hotel, the moment they step out of the taxi.
Agree completely.
The expectation is there. The way that they greet it, that sets the tone immediately. It's going to be great, or I'm not too sure.
And if it is great, if there's mistakes later on, it's okay,
matter.
My emotional bank account is high.
Exactly.
But if you can't even say hello to me on greeting, then it's a domino effect.
Yeah. That is the thing. And here in Dubai, I mean, there's only one cake, and now there's 50 million hotels, and everyone wants a slice of the pie. True. So how are you going to maintain your guys? Not by telling your sales team to, increase market share and stuff like that by generating more revenue, but value your people and make the guest experience amazing.
Agree, 100%.
They will come back to you time and time again.
Yes, I agree. It's all about the people. We had a situation, we just got back from Vegas, and we went to this, one of the retail stores there, and there was a guy standing at the door. We thought he was security. And as we walked in, he had a big smile. Welcome. Come on, how can I help you? Oh, this would look great on you. And we built a rapport. He was genuine. He wasn't trying to sell. He was genuinely interested. And while we were inside, another shopper came in with a child who would have been maybe 10 or 11. And he said, oh, we've just popped in to see him. I said, oh, are you friends? He said, no. He served us when my wife was pregnant. And we've been coming, every time we come to Vegas, we come to say hello because he is who he is.
Isn't that fantastic?
10, 11 years later, they visit the same shop because of the guy that works there. And I think that just sums up customer services, and we don't give enough value, to the people.
Exactly.
And as you said, if you motivate them in the beginning and you open their receptors, they will embrace the training. They will go above and beyond.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we're very blessed here in that, service here is 5-star for the most part. Companies do invest in training, they do invest in their people. If you go outside of Dubai where, service isn't so important, you see the differences. We recently got back from a holiday. We got off the sort of bus into the resort, and we just stood waiting. Nobody came to say hello.
Oh,
Nobody
really?
greeted. No, and it was really sad. And we sort of said to the manager, it's really a shame because we could have been lifelong guests here, but if you lose us on hello, it's highly unlikely we'll come back.
Exactly. I did a wedding a few years ago at a 5-star hotel in the desert, quite a distance away on the other side of Abu Dhabi. It was the first time I was there, and it was the time we had these massive storms that first week in February. So I got to the hotel, ample time because I always like to be there way ahead of time, and also because we had the storm on the road. So I walked into the hotel, never been there before, and there was a guy standing there. He had this badge on, which told me, okay, he's working in the hotel. So I went up to him and I said, good afternoon. I said, there's a wedding here this afternoon. Can you tell me where it is? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, it's over there.
Oh.
He didn't say good afternoon, welcome, how can I assist you? Nothing. So I said, well, can you take me there because I've never been to your hotel? So he said, yeah, follow me. So I'm thinking, no.
Cross.
So go across to across the lobby to this particular area, which is called the library. And I said, but there's no setup yet. And he says, there's enough time.
Oh my gosh.
And he turned around and he walked away. And I thought, this is not 5-star.
No.
So from that, if somebody would say to me, if a couple would say to me, we're thinking of that hotel,
you wouldn't recommend?
I would say to them, I wouldn't go there.
Mm-hmm.
I could rather recommend another place in the desert where you're going to be treated like royalty from the moment you arrive.
And it's not just a personal recommendation. If somebody asks you, now we have the power of social media.
Yeah, exactly.
So, consumer choice now. Before we go to any hotel, we check TripAdvisor, we check Booking.com. I read the reviews. And not that I'm reading just the reviews, I also read how the restaurant or the hotel respond to a complaint.
That is so important. That is so important.
Because we do, it's human error. We get things wrong. We can't be perfect all of the time. But how do we deal with somebody saying, I didn't have a good experience? Is it a copy and paste? Thank you so much for visiting our hotel. We hope to see you here again soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't help.
They don't take their customer services seriously.
No.
And I think, in this day and age, companies have to really, invest in their people, in their online communications, because it's so detrimental to their business.
It is. And to top it off is that the event side team of the hotel, the weather started changing on the Wednesday. The wedding was the Friday afternoon. It was supposed to be outside on a terrace with the magnificent dunes behind it. So you would think that when the weather starts changing, they would put plan B, C, D, E, and F into place. But nothing was done. So when I got to the hotel and got to this place, I called the groom to say, listen, I'm here, so you don't have to worry that I'm still on the road. And I could hear in his voice, sounds very stressed. And I said, what's wrong? And he said, we're looking for a space to have the wedding. And I'm thinking, the team should have done that. They should have said, listen, don't worry. We've got everything in place. We've got these options for you, whatever you would like. Because that's what needs to happen.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
I saw those pictures, by the way. It was a beautiful setting.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, really.
So it's so important, and everything boils down in the end to valuing other people. And something that I am now working on, Ange, is I'm busy creating a course.
Okay.
that I'm focused specifically on women.
Oh, interesting.
Because I feel that most women, especially if they're even older, because they've had their kids and stuff and so on, and it's like, okay, what's my purpose now? And society as such doesn't really recognize women in their 50s and 60s as such, unless they're in corporate, where they can say, I am a CEO, or I am a this or whatever. But your giftings and your skills and your wisdom that you've gained, and you've got all of this greatness within you. I want to awaken that within them. I want them to find their fabulousness.
I love that.
That's inside.
Is it life begins at 50?
Oh, absolutely.
Or 60,
and it gets better when you're in your 60s.
It can begin at 70. Why should we put a cap on it?
Exactly.
And I think that's right. I look at my life and, my 20s and 30s, I thought that I knew everything in my teens.
Yeah.
Then my 20s, I was convinced I knew everything. Then in my 30s, I started to realize actually I didn't know anything at all. And now that I'm in my 40s, I'm like, really, I have so much to learn.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. The wisdom, the life, you've gone through raising your kids. And there is this sort of stigma where, children leave home, they finish, they set off on their own journey. And then what now for me? I've been at home raising this family, and how do I now ignite this passion that I have?
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's so much that that everyone has within them. And every woman is fabulous. Just let's awaken the fabulousness and, get out there and share with the world your passion and your gifting.
That
should make
be the name of your
place.
course. Awaken your fabulousness.
Thank you.
There you go. There's your branding done.
Awesome.
Super. I love that.
Awesome.
That's really amazing. I can't wait to see this new journey unfold.
Thanks, my darling.
So just before we go, I'd like to talk about your next journey because, and I'm very sad about this because, you're a very good friend of mine and you're leaving Dubai, and it's the story of being in Dubai. It's transient, people come, people go, but you've been one of my solid friends for so many years.
Yeah.
So now that you've decided, pastures new and spread your wings, you're leaving Dubai. The plan is around July time.
That's what I'm thinking of,
Okay.
yes.
So why?
You know what? I've always had it in my life that when a season comes to an end, there's a gradual awareness that something's winding down. And 2019, I started feeling I really am missing seasonal changes. I'm missing nature. I'm missing real green. I'm missing cold weather. I'm missing clouds. I'm missing, cold weather. I'm missing gardens. I'm missing soil. I want to immerse myself in nature. And I've loved living here. I've really had 13 amazing years here. I've really loved living here. And so the awareness started happening that I became aware that there's something else calling me. There's something else calling me. And then I started looking at, okay, where will I go to? Where would I like to go to that I can still carry on my celebrancy business and then still do all the other things that I really want to do. But I just wanted a different way of life. And so I made a list of 5 countries. And then I looked at everyone and cost of living and weddings and everything. But when it came to this particular one, my whole soul said, gotta go.
That's the one.
That was it. And I just knew it. And it's like, that's where I have to be. So I've done a lot of research, and there's a lot of stuff that I need to do because I have a South African passport, which is not the greatest. I am not blessed to have a UK passport.
Well, it's not so strong as it used to be now with the Brexit. So
I know, but it's still better than ours. So I have to apply for specific types of visas, and it involves a lot of things. But it's a process, and I've also made the decision that whatever I read and it says it can be difficult, blah blah blah, I have said to myself, it's a process. The doors are going to open for me. It's going to fall into place, and it's going to be an easy process because I believe in ease.
Nice.
I believe things should happen with ease. Why should it always be difficult? We were told it has to be difficult.
We were conditioned.
We were conditioned, yeah.
It's a struggle, it's harder, it's a big wide world.
Yeah, and that's nonsense because if we look at life thinking that everything should be with ease, so if there's dis-ease, you're not feeling happy with it, it's not sitting well with you, that's guiding you. So it saves you all the stress and the anxiety, and you learn to go with the flow. So right now I'm flowing, and I'm putting it out there that I know doors are going to open, opportunities are going to open, connections are going to be made, And I'm thinking, I'm so excited to see how this is going to pan out.
And what I love is that I remember the last time we met, you said, I'd like to show you a video. And I said, okay, what's the video of? You said, it's my life in Greece.
Yeah.
And you showed me
my mind movie.
Your mind movie. Now, we all do mind maps. In fact, here in the office, we have every member of staff here, they have their vision board.
Yeah.
So when new staff come to join the company, we say to them, okay, create your vision board. What is it that you want your life to be? Why do you come to work every day?
Yeah.
Keep that image in mind and you can manifest. So it's a motivating strategy for them. But I've never seen a mind movie. This was very new to me.
Mind movies are fantastic, and I tell you why, because they're not static. So you can use your own pictures. You can write your affirmations. You can choose your music, plus you can add a subliminal music track to it as well. So when you're watching your mind movie, you're hearing the music, it's raising your energy. The emotion that rises is like, I'm already there. I've made 3 mind movies.
Do you know why I'm laughing? Because I remember when we sat down, when you said, okay, I want to start my new business, which is TheresaWeddingCelebrant.com and Theresa D Celebrant Instagram. I remember you sat down with me and you said to me, I'm so not technically minded. I just don't know how I'm going to do this because online and digital, it's just not who I am. And now you're creating mind movies, not 1, but 3 mind movies. So how far you've come, with this whole digital journey too.
Yeah, I have. And you know what? I've also discovered that when I'm struggling with something, that I say to myself, okay, I can do this. I can learn how to. I will have to go and Google how to or watch a how to. The one I'm struggling with at the moment is Canva, of all things. But I'm determined to get that
mastered.
Waxed. Absolutely. But yeah, so mind movies are phenomenal because it elevates the emotion, and that's where the magic lies, with that elevated emotion. So I can play my mind movie about living in Greece. I can play that in my mind now. I hear the music, I hear the words of the song, I see the pictures, I see the affirmations, and I'm there. And that changes everything because it's not static. I've always struggled to put a vision board together. I just never gelled with it.
You're about movement and energy.
So I would put up pictures and it's like, it didn't do anything for me. But the mind movies is like, wow. And I've got one out for my soulmate. I made one for my soulmate. I found my soulmate. So I love watching that because I know he's somewhere out there.
Of course.
And I visualize the life with this person, and the connectedness, and being spiritually aligned and emotionally aligned, and just loving being together.
Well, I will certainly be at wedding number 3.
Yes, you will.
We'll be flying over for that one.
You certainly will,
Theresa,
Angie.
it's been, and this is why I wanted you just to come and share with us, because your energy is so infectious. You never stop smiling. You're such the ultimate optimist.
Thanks, my darling.
And I think you're so inspiring for so many people out there. I can't wait to see your training program unfold. And if we can be of any assistance, I'm always here to support you. The team will support you in anything we can.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You've been amazing. So again, it's TheresaWeddingCelebrant.com.
Theresa D WeddingCelebrant.com.
Theresa D, WeddingCelebrant.com, and Theresa D
Celebrant
Celebrant on Instagram.
Yeah. Angie, thank you so much. I have so enjoyed spending time with you.
Me too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Pleasure.
And I value you as my friend.
Likewise.
And I know we will always be friends no matter what the kilometers are.
You and me both, the world is a small place.
Absolutely.
And let's see this next journey unfold and where it takes us.
Yes, and let's celebrate life.
Thank you so much.